Hello, everybody, and welcome to this exciting event where we celebrate women who drive meaningful change in our society through technology and outstanding leadership styles. My name is Wana Vizgan, and I will be your moderator during the next 2 hours, where we will listen to amazing panelists and inspirational women leaders. We will resume the webinar with a Q&A session, so please do not hesitate to write your questions and remarks in the chat section throughout the entire session. I will address as many questions as possible during this interaction. I want to mark the fact that 8th of March is the International Day of Women's Rights, all women's and all women's rights. So today it's about granting and respecting women's rights and their abilities to equally contribute to the development and success of our society. But of course, we understand the tradition and its importance. So I don't know about you ladies, but I will gladly accept complimentary presents as well today. But before we start, I would like to say a few words about the Romanian Diversity Chamber of Commerce, a new changemaker in Romania. It was formed towards the end of last year to promote economic advancement of women, LGBTQ people, Roma, persons with disabilities, and other traditional marginalized groups by developing business skills, contacts, and opportunities with the framework of diversity. And of course, all of this in partnership with like-minded companies and organizations. Among the members, we find wonderful companies that are like-minded, like Accenture, DENTONS, Dow Chemicals, DIAGEO, Fokker, ING Bank, Kaufland, Mega Image, Raiffeisen, Roma Entrepreneurial Development Initiative, and Visa, with others in the pipeline, and of course, honorary membership for EBRD. Please make sure that you visit the website www.rdcc.ro and do not hesitate to reach out to these wonderful people who are really going to make a difference in Romania for all of the categories that I mentioned earlier. So, with no further ado, I would like to kickstart this event and give the floor to Her Excellency Therese Hiden, Ambassador of Sweden in Romania since September 2019. Prior to this, she was Consul General of Sweden in Istanbul, and Therese has a strong background in diplomacy and has worked at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Stockholm, at the Swedish delegation to the Council of Europe, and the Swedish Parliament representation to the EU. She holds a law degree and an LLM from Lund University and the Raoul Wallenberg Institute of Human Rights and Humanitarian Law. Your Excellency, you have the floor. So, are we having maybe a technical problem here?
She may still be in a previous webinar. I know that she had some engagement before.
But let's just move to our next great speaker today, because we have Mihaela Mihailescu, Associate Director and Senior Banker at EBRD, with more than 15 years experience in transaction structuring and financing. Mihaela has been a member of the EBRD Romania banking team since 2008, and she's been covering companies operating in industry, commerce, and agribusiness, and in portfolio. EBRD priorities are centered around sustainability and regional development and enhancement of local capital markets. So, Mihaela, please tell us more about your work and about today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me. Happy Women's Day. I think it's very nice to speak on such a day about gender equality. Again, my name is Mihaela Mihailescu. I work for EBRD for almost 13 years. I'm currently Associate Director in the Romanian office, and I focus on companies operating in the private sector, which in Romania generates the larger share of our investments. I represent the EBRD today together with Alina, my colleague, and we kind of split the responsibilities in a sense that I will be talking more generally about what EBRD is doing in Romania on gender equality, while Alina will come up with a very nice example of one of our investments. We are also both representative for what EBRD is achieving in promoting women within our organization. I personally grew up in the bank from an analyst role to a coordination position based on the support that I was given by the bank. I have 2 wonderful kids, a lovely family, and I really love my job. And I wouldn't have been able to achieve all this without the supportive policies in place in the bank, and I'm grateful for that. Upon returning back at work after 2 maternity leaves, I felt welcomed and supported. EBRD has a great track record in supporting women progress in their careers. Just to mention one name that we all know, of Mariana Gheorghe, who worked for EBRD for many years and later on became the CEO of Petrom. There are many more similar examples in our region of ladies, EBRD alumni, working in top management in large organizations or likewise managing their own companies. The bank is applying the same approach in our investments as well. Gender equality benefits ultimately everyone. Diversity among employees boosts creativity and innovation by adding knowledge, skills, and experience. Benefits from economic inclusion consist of increased talent pool, better skills matching, reduced staff turnover, greater job satisfaction, and greater workforce diversity. Specifically in Romania, just to give you a couple of examples of what we achieved last year, in one of our transactions, we worked with local retail operators to define explicit targets for women's participation in trainings and development programs. On another transaction, we worked with local logistic operators to enhance women's entry points into this growing sector in Romania. And last but not least, another good example is on another sector in the municipalities area, where we worked with the municipality of Sfântu Gheorghe to finance street rehabilitation with a specific focus on giving women's access and safety. Another program that we are very proud of is the Women in Business programs, and it is the EBRD's flagship program dedicated to supporting women-led SMEs in the region. Since its establishment in 2014, as well in Romania, the EBRD has so far extended over 600 million euros in cumulative credit lines to around 50 financial institutions for on lending to women-led SMEs, with more than 70,000 women impacted to date by way of access to finance, employment, and capacity building delivered through EBRD's ASB framework, which is the team that deals with our SME financings. My colleague Alina will provide further details on the program later on during the event. The bank is ultimately strategic in its approach on equality and inclusion by appointing the so-called regional gender champions. And one colleague of ours in Romania plays this role. On top of her regular responsibilities, our colleague holds this role, aimed to build capacity across the bank on this specific topic. The bank works through its projects and associated policy dialogue to enhance the promotion of gender equality across 3 key areas: access to employment opportunities and skill, access to finance and entrepreneurship, access to services and infrastructure, and all these ultimately open opportunities for women to take on a more participatory and productive role in economic activity. The promotion of gender and equality is an integral part of EBRD's commitment to promoting sustainable and inclusive market economies through its investment, policy engagements, and technical cooperation support. This topic is one of the 3 priority themes of the EBRD Strategic Capital Framework, which is our strategic plan for the following 5 years, alongside the transition to a green economy and the digital transition. We do our best to promote the gender equality throughout all our investments in be it debt, equity, or mezzanine structures. Again, thank you very much for inviting me to this event. It's a great pleasure to be able to share with you my personal experience as well as what the bank is trying to do in promoting gender equality outside the institution as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mihaela. I have actually noted down two things very important, I guess for you, but for many of us here. The balance between the family and the career, because I don't know about you ladies, but for years and years we've been told that we cannot have it all. Well, I guess that a lot of us, and if not us and a lot of other women, are the living proof that not only that you can have it all, but you must have it all, because we are the two combined. And when you perform well, both in terms of diversity in the company, it's not only fair, but it also has an economic impact that now, thank God, we have studies and numbers to prove it. So it's not just, you know, doing the right thing, but we also see a lot of economic benefits out of that. So thank you so much, Mihaela. I would like to say a warm welcome to Violeta and Nanita, the CEO of IKEA Romania. We know that IKEA has always been extremely supportive of the gender equality in Romania, and not only. Violeta is the market manager for IKEA Romania and member of regional management team of IKEA Southeast Europe. She is responsible for leading and developing high-performing management and commercials team in IKEA Romania. And she has an impressive career track because not only that she's a hard worker, but she's passionate about working with people and creating results through people. One of the most valuable things someone told her in her career was empower. You manage this and sky is the limit. Have fun in the job. Take people on board and do things together. Use the strength of the people. She loves her job because she feels encouraged and empowered to take on management roles and develop herself on the business. Violeta?
Thank you, Ana. Hello, everybody. I had emotions before starting this webinar, and now you lift the expectations much higher. Thank you very much. I'm also a mother of two kids, teenagers. My daughter is a student, my son still is in high school. And of course, thank you for the nice words, and thank you for the Romanian Diversity Chamber of Commerce for creating this opportunity and this webinar for all of us to share and also to contribute to gender equality, this important work that we engage ourselves. A few words I will share about our company, and then also about myself as a woman leader in IKEA, and also about the CEO Alliance, a task force that we launched a couple of years ago. So IKEA is a company with Swedish roots, and the Swedish values reflect what we stand for, and this is equality for everyone. And for us, gender equality is about creating an inclusive culture. An inclusive environment. And why it's important is both women and men are valued in this inclusive environment for their unique contribution and also the impact that they do on the culture of our organization. Gender balance benefits everyone, and we keep focus. We keep focus on having more women in predominantly male roles, as well as more men in predominantly female roles. So this focus is helping this inclusive environment that we create in our organization. And gender equality is integrated into all our work processes because, of course, it is important to talk, to share about examples, but it's also important to create this in our processes. So it's really happening, which means it's from the recruitment, it's through the development, and also the succession of our people. So how we do that? We are making sure that we have equal representation of both women and men in leadership levels. And we are strongly committed to reach 50-50, our goal, by 2022 in all our company, which means in the boards, in the committees, and in all functions and levels. Primarily, we talk about leadership roles. I also want to share that I am proud that in Ikea Romania, we succeeded. We have this goal. We have 50-50 leadership roles for both men and women. And if we talk about numbers, we have 88 female leaders roles and 88 males managers. And it's not only about the numbers, because even if the number says a lot, because they are really important, also they don't say about the entire picture. And we have some actions and some initiatives to support both female and male in their jobs. And we have for all our new dads, which are coming, which are becoming new dads, we have 1 month fully paid. So they stay home and enjoy their family and their babies. And in this way, facilitate their partners to come back to work in an easier way. We are also having for both parents, when they come back to work, after they have their own, their baby, part-time, 1 month to work, and then it's fully paid. In the same time, we secure for all the women which become mothers that during their maternity, they do not lose on their salary. So when they come back, they have to increase salary. So some mechanisms, some initiatives to really support gender equality. Also, for all our coworkers, maybe that are experience violence, domestic violence, and also different issues related to COVID-19 crisis, we have introduced 2 protective mechanisms that are supporting them. And this is IKEA Solidarity Fund and IKEA Employee Assistance Program. Through these programs, we have our colleagues, our coworkers, benefits from necessary support, can be psychological, can be legal, can be also complete financial assistance. Right now, we have 21 coworkers who are really benefiting about this program. So why is important women's leadership? I think I have touched some of the contributions that both women and men have a unique way to contribute to better life of people, of business. We are seeing also women in leadership roles that are changes the way we see the world today. Reduce inequality, explains why we need to keep working to a more diverse environment. And no matter here if we talk about life at home or life within work organization. And women should not be only encouraged to take on leadership role positions, but also to be provided with organizational security, to be encouraged to step into leadership roles, and also to be comfortable to speak up. And that's why should be systems in place that guarantee these opportunities for female leadership. I'm very proud to say that we have many women in leadership roles, starting with myself as a leader in IKEA Romania. We have also our CEO, Sara Del Fabro, which is taking care about all our Southeast Europe regional. And also we have in our teams, commercial, customer, marketing departments that are led by brilliant women, which are having a fantastic expertise. And also in global position, I can share that the head of our people and culture department, also our digital chief officer, are women. So we all have grown in this position. We have been received equal opportunities and support. And I think we are also proud leading big teams today and also contributing to this environment, support more women to come in leadership roles. I want to share a little bit about the CEO Alliance, the task force. This was launched in 2019, also with the occasion of 8th of March, the Women's Day, with the support of the Swedish Embassy. And in this task force, we put on the agenda and on the table important issues for gender equality, equal pay, equal opportunities, and equal share in leadership roles. And we have had some events, we work on different levels. And I'm sure that today, with the support of the Romanian Diversity Chamber of Commerce, we can revitalize and also why not to gain more members. So once again, I want to thank you. And I look forward for this webinar for different discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Violeta, and thank you for leading the way together with other actors in Romania with regards to the Swedish values that a lot of us know very well, and we're looking up to in so many ways. I have noted here, and I'm guessing that this will come up over and over again during our seminar, the security and the level of support and encouragement that we need in order to feel welcome and to feel secure to speak up, to be ourselves, because how else can we perform in the best way if not by being ourselves and contributing in the best possible way to our common goal and to a better society in general. And speaking of the Swedish values, I'm really pleased to welcome Her Excellency Teresiden to tell us a little bit more about the Swedish values, but also the way she sees gender equality in Romania and the steps that we have taken as a country and how we can move forward together.
Thanks so much, Joanna, and thanks for your indulgence. Sorry for the hiccup. I would not have wanted to miss this for the world. So it was just a question of time when I would get hooked up in the seminar, because I am always very excited to speak about gender equality. I will spend the entire International Women's Day speaking on this topic and still reflecting over the fact that we should only allow ourselves one day to have such an exercise, but I am thoroughly reassured by the participants in the seminar today, because you don't only talk about this issue, you actually show women's leadership every day, and that's the most important thing. So thanks for that. I will allow myself to make a few comparisons on where the world, and including Romania, stands today, and perhaps where we would like to be. So this year is actually the 100-year anniversary of when women were allowed to vote for the first time in Sweden. And this happened in the case of Romania 75 years ago. So in between Sweden and Romania, women have been allowed to take part in the political decision-making system for the equivalent of the lifetime of one person. Now, we all know that human beings have been around for more than 200,000 years. In all fairness, the political systems, the democratic systems that we have today are not that old, but power is as old as humankind. Holding power is as old as humans. And this tends to be a male-dominated sphere, and the absence of women from power, from money and authority reflects unequal conditions that keep being reproduced today. So empowerment, including women's empowerment, of course, starts with knowing that you have rights and then making use of them. And this first step is not obvious in the entire world still today. And the other important aspect of empowerment is the economic and political empowerment. And for economic empowerment to be fully recognized, there needs to be changes in the financial market, needs to be changes in the labor market, in the international trade. Let me give you one example, for instance. The the import taxes that is being put on a woman's silk blouse is about 8 times higher than the import taxes that is put on a men's silk blouse. Why is that? I don't have the answer, but it's worth to think about. Gender equality is, of course, also about common sense. Why should we restrict ourselves to only 50% of the population when recruiting skilled persons? Obviously, that's a waste of resources, particularly when research shows that that gender equality and diversity will have enormous impact on sustainable growth, on competitiveness, on innovation, and on getting ready for the future of businesses and economies worldwide. And last year's global gender index, it's called Global Gender Gap Index. That index shows that the gap is actually closing a little bit on issues such as education and health. But there is still a big gap in political field and in the economic field. And looking at Romania, we still see that same picture. Actually, we find Romania towards the bottom of the European, the EU family, and the gender gap is closing also for Romania within the health and education field, which is great news, of course, but it remains large when it comes to economic participation and political participation. And in fact, this is problematic because it is in the political economic field where most of the power in society lies. So we do need women around the decision-making tables, in the government, in the parliaments, in the boardrooms. This is where this is where our societies are being shaped. And if our future will only be shaped by 50% of the population, the male population, we will not have societies that are functioning for everyone, nor that are competitive or innovative. So the big question is still out there. Why is there still not gender parity? Why do we still have gender inequality? And this comes down to norms, attitudes, and behaviors. And unfortunately, just adding a few more women numbers will not do the trick. It's about changing norms, attitudes, and mentality. And also to realize things like the fact that those who hold private equity and venture capital today, those are the ones that also shape our future. And at least in case of Sweden, 99% of the private equity and venture capital is being spent on men, on male companies, companies led by men. So this means that men will decide on a lot of the development, on what kind of cars we will be driving, on what kind of medical treatment, healthcare procedures that will be favored, what kind of artificial intelligence that will be programmed, etc. And to me, this sounds like we will have more of the same excluding system, even in our technology advanced future. Allow me perhaps to make one last illustration of inequality, which is also true here in Romania, which is the fact that in almost any and all types of formal works where women are active, it will also be the woman who is taking care most of the family and taking care of the household. This is where we have to remind ourselves that gender equality is not a woman's issue. It's not a women's issue. We need to have the men involved. Most importantly, so that men start taking their share in the household work and in taking care of the family. And my last point, and my latest passion for gender equality here in Romania, is the realization that those who make the decisions in the private sector and in the public sector here in Romania, those who make the decisions and those who implement those decisions must be aware of the effects on men and on women that those decisions have. And very often we think that a decision that we take is neutral. But in fact, often it will be favorable, more favorable to one group of the population, and most often that is the male part of the population. So what we've found that is that here in Romania, there is within the public sector, there is no gender awareness training available. So what we are now trying to do together with the Agency for Gender Equality here in Romania, together with the International Organization for Migration, and with the support of several private companies, several of those who are active in this seminar today, we hope to prepare and make available such a training for public servants in Romania to increase gender awareness in decision making. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much. I got so many ideas from your speech that I will just point out a few things that you mentioned. First of all, the fact that habits and culture plays a huge role in how we come upon gender equality. And I could not agree more than that. Yes, we have still huge steps to do in Romania. I mean, I know we have some good numbers here and there, but so we had very good numbers in 2007 and 2009 in terms of women in boards, but then I guess we didn't follow up on that, and the numbers went down very quickly. To a certain point, we got into the situation where for every single woman that was leaving a board, a man would take her place. And what you said about how much is spent on companies that are led by men are actually proven by a lot of studies that talk about the bias. When you have men deciding who's getting the money, it's not necessarily, I'm sure that most of them would say that, but I'm only taking a decision on the business, right? If the business is good, they get the money. If the business is not good, they don't get the money. But the same people that took decisions mainly towards sending money to companies run by men, when the bias was taken away, meaning that they didn't know who was leading the company, so the gender bias was taken away from their decision making, they were surprised to see that their second choice was 60% of the money to go towards women-led businesses. So we need to be very careful about that, because as we said, and as you marked it very well, although the intention is correct and we might think that the decisions are neutral, if we follow up on that, we can discover that we still have a long way to go, including in Romania and in many other countries. Please, I'm sure you have a lot of questions for our speakers today, so do not hesitate to send us your questions in the chat. And I would take them one by one, either during the discussions, or I will note them down for the Q&A session. And let's hear from Alina Marchiș, who has been with EBRD for 15 years, and she has a huge experience in business development and international cooperation. Alina has been a member of the EBRD SME Finance and Development team since 2013. And EBRD has helped over 900 Romanian enterprises access advice and transform their businesses. So since 2019, the EBRD has been supporting women entrepreneurs in Romania throughout the Women in Business program, which offers advisory services, targeted leadership training, mentoring, and network opportunities. Alina, please.
Thank you very much, Juana. It's great to be here and to bring an entrepreneurial perspective to the discussion about women in leadership, about women in tech, because it's such an important dimension of women leadership out there and of our work as a bank. And thank you very much for placing such an emphasis on women-led businesses, because this is what we are here to do, support women-led businesses. Now, I am part of the EBRD's SME Finance and Development team, like you mentioned, which, as the name suggests, mean that we support SMEs, entrepreneurial businesses, whether women-led or not. And this has given us a unique opportunity to learn from women entrepreneurs, to see what their needs are, to see the factors that shape their development, because that's what we use to build our work and our support instruments. And over the years, we've been able to see exactly what makes the difference between success and failure. Now, my colleague Mihaela spoke in the beginning of the event about how the EBRD provides finance and all the great things we do, but we provide more than just finance. And in Romania, since 1993, we've supported close to 1,000 enterprises, just Romanian-led enterprises, to access advice, which we believe is essential to making the most out of financing and in general of any business opportunities. Now, what's important is that 1/3 of all these enterprises have been women-led. And by this we mean either run by or majority owned by women entrepreneurs. Like I said before, this gives us a great insight into the way that women take advantage of entrepreneurial and leadership opportunities in Romania. Now, what we try to do for women is to help them turn ambition into success. We see what they are up against, we see their challenges, and we try to respond in the best way that we can. So in our work, we've seen, for example, that half of the women we've worked with, the women entrepreneurs we've worked with, needed help with marketing, whether that means branding, e-commerce, or strategy. And I actually just saw an article today about momtrepreneurs that managed to start a business quite successfully during the pandemic, only to come up against issues with sales, with taking their business online, with promotion in general. And this is something that we are very well placed to help with. Digitalization comes second in terms of the needs of women entrepreneurs, as they've come to us needing help with implementing business software or enhancing their cybersecurity. And if we look at our portfolio, 3/4 of the women-led businesses we've worked with were small businesses. That means fewer than 50 employees. And those businesses need very specific type of advice and assistance that's not necessarily suitable for larger companies. Only 15% were located in rural areas. And we'd like to see that number improve and reach out more to women-led businesses in rural areas. And we were very surprised actually to see that only 10% of the women entrepreneurs we helped worked in tech, which is another important theme of today's event. Now, we've been working very much with innovative companies lately, and we hope that number will go up. But in the meantime, we are very happy that the women-led businesses we work with may be few, but they are choice. There are top women entrepreneurs in tech. And a good example of this is Ioana Kalin, who is the co-founder of MODULAB and who will be speaking after me. Now, Ioana has a background in art and technology. And what's key at the moment is that she and her company MODULAB helped Romania's fight against the coronavirus by developing an autonomous disinfection robot. She will talk more about this. She's better placed to tell you more, and about being a woman in leadership and a woman in tech and an EBRD advisory client. Because what we did working with MODULAB is to support an advisory project in operations. We helped the company work with a local consultant. We helped them structure a project that best responds to their needs. And we also covered 70% of the net cost of advisory services as grant financing, thanks to support from the EU under Horizon 2020. Now, following that project, the robot assembly time decreased from almost 2 weeks to just 1 day, which we thought was remarkable. And it really helped Romanian hospitals better respond to the pandemic. And this is actually the power of advice. It can help a good business become great. It can help women entrepreneurs fulfill their leadership potential. And it can help a business survive a crisis. Because during the coronavirus pandemic, half of our clients were women-led businesses, more than before. They needed help taking their business online, redesigning their business model, or even certifying personal protective equipment that they started producing. So we provide this grant financing and all our technical advice to help them, help their own businesses survive. And we do so very much through the Women in Business program that my colleague Mihaela described so well in the introduction, which adds to advice things, essential things like leadership training and mentorship. We're just wrapping up our first mentorship program in Romania, where 3 exceptional women leaders received guidance from top business mentor, Alice Coza. I'm sure a lot of you know her. And also we've had 2 leadership trainings with an executive leadership program about to be launched this year. So in essence, the Women in Business program in Romania is a program designed for women and run by women, because we are a small team of 5 EBRD ladies who work every day with women entrepreneurs, and they inspire us, we help them, we understand them, and we hope that their stories will inspire everyone as well, because we try to promote them as much as we can. And in essence, if you were to leave with one thing from this event, from my intervention in the event, it would be, don't be afraid to reach out for support to anyone who can help you as a women entrepreneur. You can reach out to us and we will provide the guidance you need to grow your business, to make your business so much better, or to give you the next step in your career in leadership. And we do this because, like the other speaker said, women in business are inspirational. And speaking of inspiration, I'm sure Ioana will give you an even bigger dose of that, because she is one of the most inspirational women we've worked with. And I just want to thank you very much for having me on this panel. I look forward to any questions in the chat. And thank you again to the Romanian Diversity Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity.
Thank you, Alina, and thank you for your work and your team's work. You know, big changes in society never started with a majority. So I think we're on a great track here. You know, bringing forward women that do wonderful things in tech is definitely something that we should do more. Thank you again for your intervention. For the participants, thank you so much for the questions that you have started to send in. Please keep doing so. And in the meanwhile, I will introduce Ioana Calen, who is the co-founder of MODULAB, an R&D tech lab with special interest in interactive tech, robotics, and AI. She co-founded Agora Robotics, a spin-off focused on developing autonomous mobile robotic solutions. Ioana, please.
Thank you very much. We are an R&D lab with 10 years experience in prototyping. And I remember when we first founded the lab, we have invited a group of Romanian artists from, or a group of female artists from Vienna in a residence in Bucharest. And it was very interesting that they had founded their own female-only tech lab in Vienna, Miss Baltazar, because they were never able to adapt to the men-led technology labs there. And it made me think about how women are biased even when they're children to focus on other types of toy than technology leading toys further later in their life. So from the very beginning, we tried to have women in our team that could code, solder, use Rose Engine and all the heavy tools. Nevertheless, most of my colleagues are men, and during the last couple of years, they were very busy developing autonomous mobile robots for logistic support that also operate in a crowded environment. And I've noticed they have a very managed perspective on technology, as they were only focusing on functionality, efficiency, business optimizations through automation and function integration. So it has been my job to bring a more feminine approach to technology and an ethical and humanist perspective into the process of technology development, with implications in the aesthetics of our products. So my job was to generate projects that bring into attention questions like, how do people feel when they are surrounded by robots? How is the atmosphere of the space change when it's populated by autonomous robots? How will the children react? What is the future of work in these conditions, and how will the evolution of our species be changed in the near future by automation. And I think I started asking more questions like this after I had my babies, and I started to think about the implication of the technology that is developed nowadays on their future. So we had workshops with when I invited a teacher from the philosophy faculty, Christina Diana, I chose her because she was a woman, to have public discussions with our team of engineers and coders. And we also invited children of all ages, not only to educate them on robots, but to educate us on the children's perception, feeling, and input on the subject. And this year, I'm inviting a group of female artists to develop works, having our robot as a starting point in order to generate different conceptual perspectives on automation and robots. So another challenge of our company, as we're shifting from an design and art oriented R&D lab to a robotics company, is chaos, because R&D involves a lot of freestyle and liberty and lack of structure. And last year we needed structure more than ever, because we have developed UVC light robots for disinfection, and we had to produce them and deliver them in record time. And the consultancy project that EBRD funded was a real help, as we have managed to get things structures and upgrade the organization to a robotics manufacturing company. Speaking of motherhood and entrepreneurship and technology, every time I had a baby, I have two children. I worked until the very last day before I gave birth, and started working again in a couple of hours after that. And my second baby came early, and I had a deadline for EBRD application the second day. So because I couldn't be able to be with my baby because I didn't have the COVID test result yet, I had time to finish it. And I remember not being able to talk to the family because I was busy talking to the consultants and the accountant, and to Alina, who was really supportive at the time. And even if I was very skeptical before applying to the EBRD program, because I thought our company is too small for their projects, I was surprised that they were really open and eager to see the potential. And Alina helped a lot, not only with the grants, but also in the business promotion and development after that. So we implemented the projects even if I had the baby always with me, and it wasn't a problem. Babies sleep a lot. The real problem is, I think, the stereotypes that mother entrepreneurs have to face, because if they work, they are labeled as macho women trying to have it all, and that they seek to fulfill their ambition, and they don't take care of their babies, and the mothers who stay at home are labeled as lazy, and so on. So as a conclusion, I believe that technology will shape our future in ways that we still can't imagine. And I think that it's a cliche that all the tech companies have this motto: our technology is helping to make the world a better place. But I think this can only be possible if you have more women input in the development of technology, and also artists and children. And this is, I think, the secret ingredient. These are the secret ingredients to have a better world through technology. And I think it's very important to integrate a holistic approach in the development of the tech.
Thank you so much, Ioana. You know, I used to say that if you try to do the same thing with the same people, you will absolutely arrive to the same results. So I couldn't agree more that if we really want to make out the most out of what the future, the technology it can bring to us, then we definitely need to bring different faces and brains in the picture, and also we need to learn or to teach rather than learn, because we know it, how to lead, proudly like a girl with brains and heart. Because as we see it more and more, this is what makes the difference. And, Joanna, you did it, Jacinda Arden did it. So I think, we can all do it. Thank you so much for that. I would like to encourage you to address your questions to Joanna and the other members of the panel. Please write your questions over there, and I will address them during the session. And now I'm really happy to introduce you Celia Corosi. She is a passionate and collaborative leader, always curious and up for exploration. She has both the tech and the business studies, and she has built her career as part of Accenture team. For the past 4 years, she has developed an innovation hubs network across the globe, and she is driving meaningful change, combining technology and human ingenuity. Celia is married and proud mother of 2 children, Renard 10 and Sophia 6. She keep on healthy work-life balance because she's regularly going to the gym, plays basketball, hikes with the kids, and you know what? She's even baking goodies at home to compensate for global pandemic impact. I mean, Celia, you need to tell us everything about that. But before that, please, let's watch a video, and Celia will tell us everything about what she does at work and her good cooking.
When it comes to gender equality, we have made great strides, but there's more work to be done. True change will take all of us working together. Here are 5 reasons you should care about gender equality. People who embrace gender equality have richer personal relationships. They report better physical, mental, and emotional well-being, and enjoy an increased sense of purpose by being actively involved in making a difference. Shared decision-making also leads to better decisions, at work and at home. And more equal teams are more collaborative and innovative. Gender equality is not a zero-sum game. We all benefit and thrive when we can be our authentic selves. For gender equality to truly be achieved, everyone has a role to play. What can you do to accelerate gender equality for all?
Indeed, and I hope everyone can hear me well. If you can share the slides in the meantime, it would be great. But thank you for having me. Thanks for the invite, and hello everyone. Indeed, today we celebrate as International Women's Day, are underway around the world and will continue throughout the month of March, I hope. We are recognizing the outstanding accomplishments of our women and encouraging such open, honest, and meaningful conversations, just like this one, that further advance our commitment to equality for all. As you've seen in the video as well, Accenture's commitment to equality for all has never been more relevant than it is today. So the past year has inspired us really to drive our innovation agenda and act as responsible business leaders. As the global pandemic threatens, right, to impact the forward progress of gender equality, it's important now, probably more than ever, that we create opportunities for our own people to advance and thrive, both personally and professionally, and feel a true sense of belonging. And as an organization, we're doing this, right, through bold goals and intentional actions with an ambition to be the most inclusive and diverse company in the world. At the same time, though, as individuals, we also have an important role to play for accelerating equality for all. And me personally, I commit to fostering an innovation culture and mindset by investing in talent, in technology, ecosystem to drive client co-creation and positive impact as a whole. In this matter, more and more women are interested, and we see them engaged, actively contributing and embracing new tech, societal, environmental challenges, and truly leading through change. Today, women represent 45% of our global workforce, which is more than 215,000 women, up from 100,000 in 2013, and 25% of our managing directors. Our target is to reach 50-50 by 2025. So in this sense, we are promoting women at all levels and investing in targeted support, in flexible work arrangements, comprehensive training programs to help women thrive at Accenture. 100% of Accenture's women are mentored and are supported at every stage of their careers to network, learn, and grow. And we strive to ensure that all our people are compensated fairly and equitably from the moment we hire them through the milestones of their careers. When we see a disparity, we fix it. We are also very successful at our efforts locally. We are advancing gender equality in the workplace by conducting research and convening conversations to raise awareness and encourage action. So if you could swap to the next slide, please. Let's look at some facts out of our Accenture research, which shows that a culture of equality, meaning a workplace environment where everyone can advance and thrive, is a powerful multiplier of innovation and growth. In 2018, Getting to Equal research showed us that workplace culture is critical for women's advancement. And when women rise, men rise too. In fact, in more equal cultures, women are at 4 times more likely to reach senior manager and director levels. And if all organizations had culture like the best organizations, there would be 84 women managers for every 100 men, which is up from 34. And women's earnings could actually rise by up to 51%. 2019 research, we found that innovation is a powerful multiplier of growth. An innovation mindset, an individual's willingness and ability to be innovative at work is 6 times higher in the most equal cultures than it is in the least equal ones. If innovation mindset in all countries were raised by 10%, global GDP could increase by up to $8 trillion by 2028. Our research also finds that most leaders, approximately 70%, believe an inclusive workplace culture is vital to the success of their business. Employees also care increasingly about workplace culture and believe it's important to help them thrive in a workplace. It's reported by 77% of women and 67% of men. However, same research tells us a noteworthy perception gap between the way leaders and employees view progress towards equality in their organizations. So 2/3 of leaders, 68% approximately, feel they create empowering environments in which, for example, employees can be themselves, they can raise concerns and innovate without fear of failure, but just 1/3 of employees agree, 36%. The proportion of employees who do not feel included in their organizations, like 20%, in example, who do not feel they are welcome at work and can contribute fully and thrive, is 10 times higher than leaders would believe. Most importantly, if the leader-employee perception gap were narrowed, women and the organizations they work for could benefit significantly, and that's because equality is growth. In conclusions, there's no doubt about gender equality being beneficial and improving economic development, but we will still have a long way to go, right? By putting gender equality at the heart of our strategies with a thorough follow-up, we would make the system so much more inclusive. It would enable women to fulfill their full potential and benefit everyone in society. So just leaving you with one last question to reflect upon, it would be, what's your commitment to equality? Thank you so much for having me today, and happy Women's Day to all.
Thank you so much for that question. I think that we will definitely tackle that in the Q&A discussion, because as anything else in our society, we all have a role to play And it's a matter of just starting to do something in our own community, in our own family, in our own business, and so on. It is my pleasure to present the next speaker, Elisabetta Moraru. Ela Moraru has been the country manager of Google Romania for the last 4 years. She joined as industry manager in 2012, working with business verticals in e-commerce, finance, and classifieds. Previously, she was part of the management team of Xerox and Microsoft. And Ella holds a PhD degree in communication science with a thesis focusing on the evolution of the public sphere along with the transformation of the access to information of the citizens. She graduated from the Business Academy of Duke University. Thank you so much, Ella, for being with us, please.
Thank you so much for having me. And I have to say, I really feel honored and privileged, first of all, to have listened to the speakers before and all the initiatives that were done and will continue to be done. And also for the Chamber of Commerce, because it's a long-standing partner of ours. And I feel I'm on the right space right now. And thank you for that. It makes my day really special. I would like to propose now if we could all close our eyes and move a little to 2015 UK. And well, yeah, please imagine that you see the list of all 100 Financial Times stock exchange company, 100. And you need to know that if you were to shake hands with all the Johns in that list, it will be more Johns than females. Now you can close your eyes, but keep remembering those Johns because, you know, a year after, the number of shake hands with Johns was decreased. So it's a good news, but it was replaced by Davids. Now, move this to Romania, and I just looked while researching for today's presentation, and it's about 10% of the CEOs of most valuable 100 companies in Romania that are female. So it's clear that we still need to talk about women and leadership. It's absolutely critical. And for me, I have to be honest with you, for the last few years, I've changed a lot my perspective about this because in my upbringing, I had a huge role model in my mother, who was a very strong leader of the household and of her life. So I've never doubted whether I should be a leader or not. I just took that for granted. So I changed that mind a lot of years. There are many numbers, figures that say why we should all change our mind about this. Adweek 2016 talks about a fact that a woman applies for a job only when she has 90% of requirements met versus 60% men. And only 7% of women negotiate their salary when they start their first job, and men 69%. And in my field of work, in digital agencies, women represent 55% of junior roles, 15% of board roles. These numbers shock, and they make me say, wow, what to do about this? Well, I think we need to tackle this web of gender gap and inequalities with our projects. And I would like to talk to you about a project which is very dear to me. I handpicked among all the things we are doing internally, externally, progression, retention, upbringing of strong females into our community. And I focused on this because it's a series that started with the name of Girls in Tech. And it's more than 7 years since we're doing it. And I want to put it in the context of the pandemic also, because we used to do it live, reaching maybe 60, 100 maximum girls in a room. We used to learn them how to code, computational logic. We used to inspire them. But last year, we were forced by the pandemic to innovate completely the way we are taking this approach. And in November, we said, what? And we really went far and beyond, and we went online, and we did not have just one event, we had 4. 2 evenings we spent time with girls ranging to from 14 to 16 years old, and 2 evenings, we spent them with moms in tech. And let me tell you how this went. We invited interns, we invited strong leaders from the community of IT&C, having various roles, not just programmers. And we talked to these ladies, to this future coursework. And the 2 evenings dedicated to moms in tech, we encouraged them to consider professional reconversion. We brought a therapist to talk about resilience, although moms do know a lot about resilience. We also brought a specialist to teach our moms how to do their CVs updated in the new context. We also had a specialist that taught them some basic digital skills, because we reckon that many of the jobs of the current days need digital skills. And out of all this, we reached 770 young girls and 500 mature women. But it's not about that what I want to emphasize in my speech today. It's about the questions we got from the girls. So please remember, this time it's not 2015 UK, it's Romania 2020. And these girls from, not from Bucharest, but from smaller towns around the country, asked us previous to the session some questions, and I will tell you a few of them. They completely changed my mind, and they completely made me secure or double, triple my commitment to the question that our colleague from Accenture asked us before. And I leave you with these questions, if you will. Brace yourselves. 2020, girls of 14, 16 years old asked us, what qualities should a woman have in order to have a career in IT&C? What it is to excel as a girl in IT&C? Why the programming job would be suited for a girl? Are girls considered inferior to men in this field? Could girls have a career in IT&C and be successful? What can a girl do in IT? And then I give you this last question, which stuck on my mind since November. Do I have the necessary IQ as a girl to work in programming? I really hope that with all the programs that you mentioned, I've mentioned, or we are doing, we can tackle, as Her Excellency said before, mentality. And these ceilings, these glass ceilings that are put for centuries on us, together with the other half of our globe, because we definitely need diversity and inclusivity at the table. Thank you for having me, and I will still be around for listening to your presentations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ella. I think you've touched upon quite some things, because I remember how I felt when I saw the first Vice President elect of the United States taking her position. And, you know, I'm a mature woman, still young, of course, but it meant a lot for me, and it gave me wind, you know, in my health, and it really meant a lot for me. So I'm guessing that, you know, we need to be there for the girls, and we need to be there for each other. Please keep sending us your questions, and I am very happy to introduce Christina Diana. Christina is a partner in DENTONS Bucharest and has the Venture Technology Group in Romania, which is part of the Global Emerging Growth and Venture Technology Group of DENTONS. Thank you, Christina, for being with us, please.
Hello, thank you very much, Oana. Just to give you a bit of background, so I'm Christina Diana, a partner with DENTONS and the head of the Venture Technology Group in Bucharest. DENTONS is the biggest law firm in the world with 198 offices worldwide and 11,000 lawyers and growing. And the Venture Technology Group addresses to technology companies, small and big. It covers their entire life cycle from foundation to international expansion. and it addresses as well to VC funds. Well, this being said, it's obvious that both my profession, the legal profession, and the technology sector are very strongly male-dominated, and as such, it is a privilege for me to speak here together with this esteemed panel of speakers about the challenges of women in leadership position in law and in tech, and about what companies can do about it. So speaking about the challenges, we heard our previous speakers, all of them mentioned the challenges. Well, I chose like 4 major issues to came up through my mind when I heard about challenges. So basically, well, there are certain sectors of activity which traditionally are addressed to men, like STEM, technology, like trading, yeah. I mean, I was shocked a couple of days ago trying to research something about the trading company, and none of my female friends was knowledgeable about it. So no one knew anything about it. And then I had to call like 5 men friends, all of them knew about it, even if they were not acting in the sector. Investment, again, it is a sector which is dominantly male dominated. Other difficulties for women, the sales process. So it is psychologically proven that we are more at ease among our peers. So since the decision-making world is covered by men, it is easier for men to sell and to develop a business. The third hurdle for leaders and for entrepreneurs would be the family. It is, of course, our first love and our first responsibility as women. But there are challenges to overcome when you take over a leadership or a partnership position in a law firm. So, and it is not only the balance between life and family, it is also about more than that, like the support that you get from your family or from your partner. And the difficulty comes when decisions need to be made, like who will stay today at home, whose career will come first, who will stand up when the kid needs to go to the hospital. So when it comes to choices, then it is really difficult. And the first, probably biggest hurdle for women is the access to funding. We heard it from Her Excellency before, and we will hear it probably again later. So according to statistics, in 2019, only 2.8% of the VC money flew to female founders, which is ridiculously low. So in 2019, 2.8% of the VC funds went to, so all of those are hurdles. But luckily, we have progressive thinkers, we have progressive companies like those on the panel today, like the RDCC chamber who organizes this event, and people moving the things ahead. And our company, DENTONS, has implemented great women advancement policies, which are in line with what we have heard before from other speakers, but which are really a challenge for the legal profession. So I will just outline a couple of the main principles of these policies. So as you know, I mentioned before, the legal profession is very strongly male-dominated, especially when it comes to promotion. So we try to overcome this unconscious bias. So basically, we are not saying that we are consciously promoting more males than women, but numbers speak for themselves. More men are promoted than women. And we try to fight against this unconscious bias with our policies. Then we try to create more leadership opportunities for women, like this one, yeah? I mean, being speaker on a public speaking event, or just taking over big projects. This is something which traditionally comes easier to men, or more opportunities are created for men than for women. We try to balance this. Then we try to stop the leakage of our female talent. It is affecting the legal profession that latest with the counsel level. It is familiar also for consultants, I assume. At the senior associate counsel level, when you have to make up your mind, will you become a partner in this firm or not? Many women decide for an in-house career or for other options. So they just abandon the legal profession. And we try basically to stop the leakage of our women talent at senior associate or counsel level and to promote that. First direction would be supporting also fathers, would be interesting to take over some parenting time just to balance it. Fifth, when we look at lateral hires, we don't look only at men, you know, traditionally who have the more important business case. We try to look also at women. And six is indeed the business case. The business case, the clients that you have were traditionally the holy grail in the legal profession. If you didn't have the numbers, you didn't make it to partnership. And we try to have a holistic approach about how we promote women to partnership. And basically we say, okay, there are other things which matter as much as bringing in the clients. Okay, we'll serve them. You need enhancement capacities. You need a good management, team management, somebody who, you know, who cares about the people, who grows the team. So other things which are maybe as important as the business case. So we try somehow to reduce the importance of the business case while promoting to partnership. So with all these ideas in mind, we hope to have a 30% equity partners share by 2025, which is very ambitious. And the good news from the States came yesterday. So out of 42 promoted partners, 21 were women, which was really a breaking news for the United States. Yeah, so very, very good news. And I'm really confident, you know, that with all these changes, with good policies, with progressive thinking, like we have in our firm, like the companies here on the panel have, we'll have not better companies, you know, in 5 years, but a better society in the end. Yeah. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Christina. Absolutely. I was thinking that, you know, when we look at the I think that, you know, we are done with asking for permissions. We are just, you know, make it happen. And I will introduce now Evelina Necula, who is the co-founder and CMO at KINDERPEDIA. She is a mother, education entrepreneur, and communication specialist. She is the co-founder of KINDERPEDIA, the innovative communication and management solution for education development in Romania. And she is a graduate of the Open University Business School. Evelina has over 15 years of experience in marketing and communication. Welcome, Evelina. I think that Evelina has a little bit of technical problems. So since we're speaking about education, I'm very happy to ask Radu Sekeli, who is the State Secretary in the Ministry of Education, to give us his thoughts on today's and on how the education is going to make even a huge and better impact on our girls. Radu holds the position of State Secretary since February this year. So we are very interested also in his personal opinion, not just the official. Radu has previously served as Chief of Staff in the Ministry of Education, where he coordinated the project Education Unites Us, introducing many elements of the Finnish education system. He is the founder of the Finnish school in Sibiu and has over 20 years of experience in education. So Radu, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Juana. Thank you for the invitation. I indeed started only 2.5 weeks ago in the Ministry of Education, so it's a pleasure to. I think at the time when we first discussed about this webinar, I wasn't yet officially appointed. Then this became official, but I think I would like to talk both from the perspective of an official, which I cannot get away from anymore, and also from my personal experience in education in Finland mainly and in Europe. I also worked as an advisor, as an external expert to the European Commission for many years, and many of the projects that I had to monitor had to do with equality and equal chances in promoting education, especially adult education for adults. And in my role as an elected local councillor in Turku in Finland, where I used to live for a while, I once started receiving some interesting phone calls from people in the city. I was also there in the committee for equality and equal chances, and also in the committee for lifelong learning. And they were pointing out the fact that the city's open university program, Finland has, probably like Sweden, a special type of education called folk high schools, where, or definitely like Sweden, where adults can register and take education programs that they are interested in. And we received the information that more than 90% of participants in those courses were women. So we were unable, the city's policies were not designed correctly to attract men into education. That was my assumption. And it proved to be right, because I couldn't believe that men don't want to study. I thought there must be something wrong in the way we design these policies to discourage men from studying. And we did a lot of research, we collected data, and we realized that the offer of this popular university, folk high school, however you want to call it in English, was mainly targeting women. And this has been from a time when men traditionally had access to education and women were less involved in education. So the cities and the country's policies were designed to attract more women into education, and this had happened for years. 90% of those participating in lifelong learning programs were women. And the courses were designed so that they were more interesting to women. They were about, they were mainly foreign languages, learning household skills, things that traditionally attract women and not men. What happened there was that we had a campaign of redesigning, if you want, the course offer, and we started offering courses which we thought traditionally would attract more men, like repairing motorcycles, repairing watches, building furniture, things that were also taken by women, but mainly by men. So in that way, we managed to change the balance, and we never reached, well, during my time in office, 50-50, of course, but we managed to go in that direction. Now, what I'm receiving 15 years on is phone calls, and not only now that I'm in the ministry, but generally over the last 2 years, I've been talking a lot with people like Mariuca Talpes at Intuitex and Romanian business leaders about the fact that there are not enough women in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. There are far too few. And the reason for this is not always entirely clear, because girls tend to be more successful in general, in primary, secondary education, even in theoretical high school. But then there is a separation. Somehow they do not go into, or for some reasons they do not go into education and into engineering, into STEM education. And I just looked at some figures today, which unfortunately are not very reliable, because I found different figures from different sources, but apparently less than 1% of women who have a degree in Romania have a degree in IT related disciplines. And of these, well, only 4 out of 1,000 actually get a job directly into this field, IT related fields, which is very low. And I've also found out that I actually asked a few minutes ago from some colleagues at the Polytechnic in Bucharest that less than 1/3 of their students are women, and very few of these continue in industries. Most of them stay in research at university, so they don't enter the labor market with the profession that they get. Now, why is it important to have more women in STEM? My personal view is that the absence of women from these fields affects more than just the women. It is a missed opportunity for those fields because women bring a different perspective that shapes and influences STEM disciplines. And I think having more women in the picture will not, will also help society benefit from an expertise which men see or have differently, whether it's ensuring that women are included in clinical trials for medical research, for example, not only as objects of testing, but also in developing prosthetic knee, for example, that works better for women. And I won't go into details now, but if you have seen Grace and Frankie, the series on Netflix, I think you know that women can have a very different perspective on how things can be done based on their own needs.
Thank you so much, Radu. That's very insightful, and I would like to touch upon that point even more during our Q&A session, because yes, I believe that we need more women in tech, although in Romania we have the habit of saying that we have the highest number in Europe, blah, blah, but then we don't follow up on that, and we don't know what's happening, and the conversion rate is not really the best anywhere. So Evelina, she's with us now. Thank you for joining, Evelina. Please give us your thoughts on Kinderpedia.
Hi, Juana. Thank you for the kind introduction before. I am happy, honored, and grateful to be here today among so many inspiring women. I came here and promised that I would talk about my own experience, so I will be as honest and personal as possible. I would like to share with you 3 insights from my professional years, my entrepreneurial years, and my mother years, which are very much over one on top of the other, and 3 learnings from these different sequences of my life, of my professional life. If time allows, I will also talk a bit about how Kinderpedia supports women and, of course, gender equality. So I started my professional life as an employee, as a marketing and communication specialist, and throughout those years, for a very long time, I wasn't even aware of a gender inequality. To me, at that time, the topic seemed a bit shallow. I mean, it wasn't something that was right to talk about. I'm talking about something that happened maybe 15 years ago. And without realizing, for more than those 10 years, I gradually started acting as a man, because those were the models the leadership models that I had and that I followed. And even though I was working in companies which were very open-minded and progressive, there wasn't any acknowledgement of a different approach or a women's approach to things at that time. So it was only when I became an entrepreneur that I realized that I actually had a lot to bring at the table as a woman, and I didn't have to act as a man. Because for a long time as a professional, I was split, because I thought I had to be harsh, I had to be maybe a bit perceived as cold-hearted in order to be taken seriously. And I remember that a colleague of mine at one of the previous jobs said she can't wait to turn 30. And I asked her, but why, how come? And she said, maybe that time people will take me seriously. So for my generation, I think there was actually a misperception of women and of the value that they can bring to the table in a business and in corporations. And to quote Ioana, because I really love that, to lead like a girl with brains and heart. So I tried to do that as an entrepreneur, and I'm happy to say that by acting so, I built very nice and committed business relationships that were empathetic, that always took care of and considered the other side. And those, I believe, this kind of approach is what brought success to my business and to the product that I'm involved in today, Kinderpedia. I won't say much about that, but being a mother to me is completely different than just being a woman. Because when you become a mother, that's when you really see the personal side of things as becoming equally important as the profession. Before that, it was part of my culture and of having male role models to be ambitious, to work a lot, to maybe leave personal things on the side because they are shallow, they don't matter that much. Once you become a mother, things no longer work like that. You have a full agenda, and when I say full, it's somewhere between 16 to 20 hours, at least in the first years. And even though I didn't know Ioana Calen before, hi Ioana, I related a lot to what she said about the last days of pregnancy and the first days of being a mother. I didn't plan on saying that, but it's such a huge coincidence that it's important to say that. To me, it happened the same. I gave birth unexpectedly on a Sunday night. So on Monday morning, I had the laptop in front of me because there were still things that I had to do. So that's how women react, especially in entrepreneurship, probably in the corporate world as well, because I used to be in the corporate world and I was equally passionate about what I was doing. So this is my personal experience. I believe there's still a lot to be done in terms of offering business women a network of support. And this is actually one of my learnings, that we need a network of mentors, of female role models. And I believe this type of female role models should come from education. I am happy that Radu is here with us and that he's part of the education ministry now, because I'm sure that will bring a lot of vision on this side also. But to me, some of my most valuable mentors have been teachers. And having teachers and the teaching employment, the title of teacher with the respect and the importance that it should have, granting it that respect will also bring very good leadership models to women. A second learning for me was not to try to do it all, because that's what us women always try to do. To realize that I can only be good and excel in some things, and some others I should leave to other people, because putting too much pressure on myself, and generally women putting too much pressure on themselves, is actually counterproductive. But on the other side, because I am involved in education, I would like to close with my third learning, which is maybe the most important, that as important as what you do in your professional life is, it's equally important to dedicate the same amount of time and passion and care to your family, and especially to your children. Because, and I will quote here Wana Moshoyu, who's a lecturer and a PhD in education and a strong, good friend of KINDERPEDIA, said in a conference, "It may not matter over 10 or 20 years what you do at your job today, but it will for sure matter what you did with your child." And while my job is related to education, the education of my child is equally important to me. So every time I leave work, I try to take a deep breath and say, here comes the second part of my job or my mission in life.
Thank you,
if I
Evelina.
have time, do I have any more time, Wana?
You can do the conclusions, but I think that your key takeaways were really strong there, and I think that we can continue on them during the Q&A session, because I think that we are starting to have more and more the instinct as women, and in Romania especially, to have this safe space, to create it. We create it for ourselves, where we can talk and we can relate to many things, like you related to Ioana, and I'm sure that many of us related to all of the other discussions that we had. So thank you so much, and I would like to invite Irina Matea to address us. She has more than 20 years experience in Orange, Romania, and she's the leader of the local telecom, telecom industry. Irina is a true professional driven by her passion for offering customers best experience. and being so motivated with regards to this, she has the COPC certification that stands for testimony of this constant excellence in customer service. In her spare time, Irina loves to cook and do some gardening. That's really good for the stress, together with her 10 years old daughter. Irina?
Thank you, Anna, and thank you for inviting me to this event. I must confess that it is the first time when I attend an event with this subject, and I'm already grateful for a lot of information that I heard today, and I found a lot of similarities with my own stories. I will share a little story of my own just to let you know why this subject is important to me. Hopefully I will manage to keep short also. I know the time is flying by. At the very beginning of my career in Orange, I was asked to do a job which was called something like facts and data specialist. It was in a team with only men that were supposed to give support to the customers that needed to connect to facts or data. I took the job, and I remember words from a customer that once told me, "Miss, I wanted to hang up when I heard your voice. I thought I was the wrong number. Now I'm happy I didn't do so. Thank you for your support, and please don't quit your job." It stuck in my head, his words, but I didn't understand much at the time. I was very young. Maybe about 10 years later, it started to ring a bell, because I started to feel a bit awkward or different, because very often I was the only woman at the table. And I had question in my head about why these people are listening to me, and wondering whether it is because they need to check a diversity box. But what happened in reality is that many of my ideas became reality. And I started to really feel part of the team, like a valuable member, and not to ask those questions anymore. And today, it really doesn't matter to me why, because I see every day around me that the company that I work for, it doesn't matter whether you are a man or a woman. It values a lot your competencies and your personal values, in fact. Maybe as a proof for that, I can tell you that Orange is certified for gender equality, European and international standard for more than 5 years now. And hopefully will be recertified this year in April when the audit is planned. Moreover, end of 2019, our CEO nominated the Gender Equality Committee, which has as main purpose to implement a larger program that we have in the group, with focus on gender equality, work-life balance, and fighting against discrimination. Even the membership of this group is a proof, as it is composed of half women and half men. Maybe it's interesting to know, because I'm in a technology company, that it is a quite equilibrated company with 51% women and 49% men in total. And in the executive committee, 1/3 of persons are women, which I think it's not a bad figure for a technology company. Our CEO is a woman, our CFO is a woman, and some years back we had a CTO as a woman. But looking at the areas that are generally dominant by men, indeed in technical department we have a lesser percentage, which is around 22% women, and here we have special actions related to reconversion and training. But as opposed to that, if we look to IT, we have 53% women in IT. And because gender equality is about both genders, in my team, customer services, which is usually dominated by women, I have 40% men. So it is a ratio that we really value and we try to encourage. And on top of that, we have very strict policies related to payment. And I could say that in Orange, we do not have significant differences in pay, which are related to gender. Maybe just one indicator that we want to look a little bit closer, let's say next year, is related to the percentage of persons that take maternity or paternity leave. And here still women are on top with 95%. But you know, the percentage is growing towards the men also. Now, just to conclude and not to keep you longer, I can say that I'm pretty lucky and also grateful that I'm part of this company that values women, values gender equality, and bring maybe just a little contribution to this society. Thank you.
Thank you, Irina. No contribution is too little, and you know, one by one, it will become much bigger in the future. Andra Duță, she is the site lead of the DELL office in Bucharest and accounting director for the financing division of DELL globally. Andra is very active in sponsoring an employee resource group focusing on the new generation hires, as well as leading the local initiative to promote women development within her organization. She loves sports, reading, board games, and competitions.
Hello, thank you so much, Juana, and thank you for the invitation. Thanks, everyone. I'm very privileged to be here and to listen to all these wonderful and inspirational women. I work for DELL, and DELL is obviously a technology company. We have all the same bold goals as all the other technology companies. And while there are so many programs and so many initiatives that we do to support diversity and gender equality, I think there is still work to do. And definitely DELL is committed to doing that. We are setting some bold goals to achieve up until 2030. But what I want to talk about today is I want to make a few comments just based on what I heard so far from our speakers. As you said, Juana, I'm personally very involved in driving some of the initiatives here at DELL, and I'm leading a women's initiative that encourages the professional development of women here in Romania at DELL. And I think our role is very important. It's very important for us to mentor and sponsor our women. It's very important for us to pull other women up. And I think we are, on a very important piece in making all of this happen. So within this women initiative, one of the things that we do is we have a book club. And during the book club, we actually reviewed a book that's called Invisible Women. It's written by Caroline Perez. And I was very astonished, like reading that book, to see how gender biased our world is. So for example, I don't know if you knew, but for example, telephones are made for male hands. And when doing drug and medicine research, this is done mostly on men because the women's body are considered to be very complex because of all the hormones. And also the car safety is based on male bodies. So this really struck me. And I think that listening to Ioana Kallen, right, and the role that she plays within the technology company, I think that having women in these key roles, especially with technology and especially with AI, like making so many decisions for us, I think it is extremely important to have women speak up and challenge how things are, and also help champion other women. So thanks for doing that. That was very inspirational. And to conclude, I just wanted to add maybe one more thing to what Evelina and Ioana said. I think you guys are setting the bar a little bit high on those maternity leaves. So I wanted to share a little bit of my story, right? Where actually I'm hoping to take some time off, and I'm very grateful that my company is supporting. I'm not an entrepreneur, so I work in the corporate world, but there is a possibility also to take some time away from work and then come back to the work. So I'll leave you with that, but all of you are really inspirational women. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Andra, for taking up especially that point, because as many other things in life, you know, there is not one single recipe that will suit all of us. So I think that also it's important for us to take time, whether it is for the family or just for ourselves, whenever we need it, and of course, when we can as well. And with no further ado, I would like to introduce Andrea Baccio, who is a VP of Global Talent Development and Interim Chief People Officer at UiPath. She has a very strong experience in HR and change management, and she led the development of a global framework for talent development within UiPath, which was to reflect the diverse and complex needs of multicultural and multi-generational workforce. Sounds very exciting. Let's have a look at the video first. Thank you.
Our world is in perpetual motion, and so is UiPath. We must constantly renew, rethink, and reinvent to create something better.
Geleceği inşa ediyoruz ve geliştirmek için hareket ediyoruz.
Am soci că rog bărlinghe.
Știm că realizăm lucruri importante, însă suntem modești când vine vorba de munca noastră. Pentru că la UiPath facem ceva cu mare impact.
Ginagawa naming mas makahulugan ang ating mga trabaho. Tinutulungan namin ang ating kapwa na umunlad at tuparin ang kanilang mga pangarap.
Nous sommes conscients que nous n'avons pas toutes les réponses. C'est pourquoi nous avons à cœur de nous entourer de talents qui, eux, nous posent des bonnes questions.
Estamos aqui por propósito ambicioso.
今までにない仕事を生み出し続け、社会の発展を加速させる。これが私たちを日々突き動かす原動力です。
And since that's such a lofty goal, we'll never stop questioning, challenging, and debating. And we ask our people to do the same. Because we believe that's the only way we'll succeed.
Ми помиляємось, але стаємо сильніші.
Because we are here to create something completely new, we are bold, curious, and take smart risks.
En we leren van onze fouten. We zijn hier niet om het wiel nog een keer opnieuw uit te vinden.
เราถนัดในการจัดการกับงานที่ต้องทำซ้ำๆในแบบเดิมๆในแบบที่คุณไม่ชอบเพื่อที่คุณจะได้มีเวลาสนุกกับงานมากยิ่งขึ้นค่ะ
UiPath е място, на което любознателните хора се събират, за да помогнат на другите да работят по-добре.
Dove nuovi modi di pensare costruiscono il percorso verso un mondo migliore.
Let's build that path together. Reboot work, reboot the world.
Thank you, Anna. It's an honor and a privilege to be with everybody today in the company of women and a few good men. Thank you, Lestat and Radu and Perry for joining us. We would not do justice to the concept of diversity if we would only be women, right? My name is Andrea. I'm really honored to represent UiPath here. As you've seen from my colleagues, they speak much better than I could ever speak about what it means to be part of UiPath. We are building a cathedral. We believe in our mission, which is a robot for every home. And with that, for us, the journey for diversity and inclusion is at the very beginning. We are just 3,000 people globally. The company started in Romania a couple of years ago. Our roots are very humble, and we take pride in being such a global, enthusiastic team globally. It's for us is more the belonging part that really attracts us in this diversity, inclusion, and belonging part. As I said, we need to be handholded through this journey of diversity, and it has been an inspiration for me to listen to Ioana and Celia and Elisabetta and Radu and Ioana and everybody else here, because we aren't there yet. What we do is really putting at the core of our decisions, our mission. And through that, we are making informed decisions about how can we be better in diversity, how can we be more inclusive. But this belonging element is what drives us a lot. This belonging, this feeling of being part of something bigger, something bigger than ourselves as an individuals, ourselves as a team, ourselves as a country. And with that feeling and emotion, we get to energize ourselves to get and conquer the world, but also our clients to help them accelerate their human achievement. So I would stop here. I would love for us to connect offline and continue the discussion. Again, thank you for having me. I've been educated a lot in the domain. Appreciate the opportunity. You are on mute, Juana.
Thank you so much, Andrea, and congratulations on your very impressive work. I'm looking forward to connect and to keep on discussing. But I would also like to tell all the panelists that we are going to be 15 minutes late. Please stay with us if you can, because we still have very interesting discussions to have here, but meanwhile, please do not forget to visit our website, and please take a few seconds to follow the Diversity Chamber of Commerce on LinkedIn. And now, Andrea, we have Andrea Gröning de Vaux, CEO and founder of Renard Group. She's a tech entrepreneur, writer, and book editor. She's the CEO and founder of technology and media company Renard Group. Andrea?
Hi, everyone. As Juana has mentioned, my name is Andrea Gröning de Vaux. I'll very quickly give you a short presentation of what we do at Renard Group. We support people's mental well-being through the use of technology and philanthropy. I have an extraordinary team of remarkable women and brilliant men, because we can't and shouldn't have one without the other, as the ambassador so wisely mentioned too earlier. We have great gender balance and diversity. That's something I'm very proud of, and we are striving to continue to improve that with every new addition to the team. In terms of equality, diversity, and inclusion, my work is apart from my own company with Asociația Telefonul Copilului, Romania's largest NGO fighting for children's rights. I advise them on comms. I'm also the head of comms and partnerships for Astrid, a UK-based charity helping people with long-term health issues find meaningful employment. And in Romania, we have also proudly partnered with the Romanian Diversity Chamber of Commerce, and we are incredibly keen to put our backs into supporting their fantastic work. So before I go into my questions, thank you to the RDCC, the EBRD, the Embassy of Sweden in Romania, and Ikea for organizing this event and having me as a panelist. Now, as a woman in business, I believe that recovery from the pandemic will be the biggest challenge faced by women in decades. Many of us here don't see the effects firsthand because we are lucky and in a way privileged. But the toll the pandemic has taken on women's finances, their jobs, their family life, their mental well-being, and on gender equality in general has been and will continue to be devastating. A report on that topic came out yesterday from the EU. So my first question is, how can we use technology to solve for this issue? This is something that I would like the panelists to perhaps discuss after the other speakers are done. My second question is, how do we encourage women who have made it to keep the door open for others? And I think this has been touched upon a little bit earlier. They should be supporting, mentoring, and championing other women. Andra mentioned it, and I think we need to insist on this particular topic. Andra, I too have read Invisible Women, and I think it should be mandatory reading in schools. And for Radu Sekeli, how do we encourage more girls to fall in love with topics such as mathematics, chemistry, etc. in early school so that they study STEM topics at a higher level later, because it does and should start early. So thank you so much for having me. I would, if the panelists get around to discussing these questions, I would be most grateful. In the meantime, thank you, Juana, and on to the next speaker.
Thank you so much. Yes, we have Irina Mitra, Head of Field Services and Acting Head of Service Delivery Unit at ERICSSON, who's overseeing the definition and development of the field service business and delivery strategy within managed service business area here in Bucharest. Irina?
Hello, and thank you for inviting me. And I think that I'm knocking a bit some of the topics we have. So first of all, field services in general, it's male, 99%. And then also if I look a bit to my T's, the other Irina from Orange, yes, I recognize myself being the only woman around hundreds of guys working in shifts even. So very interesting experience from this point of view. I would only focus mainly on what I do for it to make a change. So in my career, I was working not only in Romania, but also for 7 years in Africa. And West Africa, for example, was very challenging. Talking about gender equality is not only gender, it's also cultural. So a lot of biases and a lot of issues I had to overcome. But I think that I proved myself as a professional and open person. So what do I do as a change agent of change? In principle is I'm vocal about diversity. Wherever in all the roles I had, I wanted to make sure that I have at least one person in my team, a female. And I made sure that I have a succession plan, ideal with a female. I'm mentoring quite a lot of colleagues, also men, but different cultures, not only not Romanians and not Europeans, different cultures as well. And I'm always open. And I'm always vocal with my support for diversity and inclusion in my senior management and leadership role. I was for a while also responsible for some countries in Africa on behalf of ERICSSON. And talking about, Radu was mentioning the percentages of females in STEM. If I look specifically to ERICSSON, to the global centers, and these are in general colleagues which graduated at technology university, but not only, but let's say technology, there is a 30% percentage females, yeah, and this is operations, this is managing network and telecommunications. And if it is something I'm very grateful, for example, talking about what we do also in ERICSSON, 2 important programs, Girls in STEMs, which I'm very happy with, and also very important, touching the point about education is connect to learn, yeah, because in the end, the way to empower ourselves, gender and not, is by education and by learning and the capability to learn. So very interesting questions, Andrea. I think that I hope that I at least started to put some seeds around it. So that's my speech. And let's have some time for the Q&A part. Thanks.
Thank you, Irina. And now I would like to introduce Agnes Dalos. She's the HR Director, East Europe at DIAGEO. Agnes believes in open and diverse communities as key success. She is a committed developer of people, manager, and leaders. Agnes built her career in Pepsi and Mondelez, but now she has been part of DIAGEO team and brings to life the first progressive portrayal in media and advertising webinar in Eastern Europe. Agnes?
Thank you, Anna. I think it was a great panel and really I learned a lot already. And Andrea, your questions are really provocative. So just like Irina, let me try to just bring some examples what we can also do in this arena. So first of all, how to help women to get into our organizations. I think it was quite interesting what the research said, how women are thinking about themselves when they are going for a role. DIAGEO has been quite lucky actually achieving the 50-50 gender parity in Eastern Europe for sure, also in our top leadership, but also in Eastern Europe leadership. And one secret what we do is we really create like a pool that has right representation for women as well. Neuroscience said that if, for example, out of 5 candidates, only 1 is woman, then somehow our brain operates in a way that we tend to get biased for male candidates. But if we have the right representation within a team of 2 at least, but 3 women, then the chances are a lot better. So I think it's a good trick of how to help ourselves, and we should get relentless to try to get the right pools when we recruit people.
Another thing is how to help our colleagues on the job. I do agree that COVID put a great pressure on all of us women, especially for those who have families to tend to. Yes, as Her Excellency always actually pointed out, we in Central Europe still operate mainly traditional families, and our societies are looking on families in a traditional way. DIAGEO has introduced a flexible philosophy which would help teams to organize their times around when to work and where to work from. However, it took quite a lot of work with the managers to understand how they can make this effective within their own teams and also together with peer teams, because in a big corporation, it's not so easy to make arrangements around that. It is still work in progress. However, we are getting a lot of positive feedbacks already about it. And then maybe how to make us more visible. I think women leaders can do a lot about that. I have just led some of the work around progressive portrayal of women in media and advertising. I think once our lady colleagues get into leadership roles, they can have a great impact on how we are portraying women in our advertising. And maybe some of us don't believe that it is our job because it's marketing. But I think once we are in leadership roles, we can all have a voice and we can all have an opinion how to do that better. And at DIAGEO, we are educating not only ourselves inside, but also creating panels like this to give this message to the world. I have learned a lot today and it is great being with you. So I give back time for some questions to answer. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Agnes, and thank you to all our very inspirational and strong women that we've been listening to today. You know, one of my best friends used to say that time flies when you're having fun. I haven't even realized when the 2 hours have passed. However, I believe that Andrea and not only, quite some of us had some interesting questions that were addressed. So I will just give the floor to an open discussion for 5-7 minutes, just to make sure that you know, we can put the accent on what we take with us today and what are our plans and commitments for the future. Anybody would like to address this question or this
perhaps
point?
Perhaps Radu Sekeli could discuss a little bit about the STEM topic. That's something that myself, having studied mathematics and computer science, I'm very interested in.
Yes, and Radu, just because there was a point there where, you know, we were looking at tech studies versus tech careers. I mean, yes, we need to bring more women into it, but how and what else do we need to do in order to ensure that not only that they study that, but also they make a career and they have equal access to a similar career as a man? Thank you.
It is a very long, probably we could have a whole seminar on that, not only a webinar, but a seminar of a few days on how to do this, because there is clear evidence that at one point boys overtake girls in mathematics and science, and girls lose interest in studying science, and that has to do probably first of all with role models and stereotypes. Perhaps you know that there's been an exercise done where 6th grade children, I think they were 6th graders, were asked to draw a scientist. And I think in virtually all boys drew a man, and of the girls, 2/3 drew a man and only 1/3 drew a woman as a picture of a scientist. So there are stereotypes that we are working against in education, because somehow science, engineering, mathematics is seen as belonging to men and not to women. And we need role models. We need to go into schools. I would say that we need some campaigns, societal campaigns, and there are many women's organizations that could do this, because I think they do it better, in which we portray women as successful scientists, as successful mathematicians, and then girls could be encouraged to continue studying mathematics by their teachers. And that's another campaign that we have to do, because often I have heard comments that, okay, you are not good at math, math is anyway not for girls, why don't you do something else and let the boys, you know, struggle with mathematics? You can do something else which is lighter. And that's also an inbuilt problem in the education system. The science topics are built, and they are generally built around boys' interests and not around girls' interests. If you have project-based learning in science, it's often on, as I was talking earlier, on engines, watches, and so on. It's not on a doctor's approach, for example, or something that girls might be more interested in. And I think those are some measures that come, you know, off the top of my head now very quickly. I would also look at outreach materials that for parents that feature female role models, and in that way they should encourage their own daughters to study science and the STEM. And I know this this is something I once discussed, and I was told that I'm being myself very stereotypical in this approach, but should we, for example, use the color pink to encourage women and girls to study science and recruit them for science jobs? And my answer is yes, simply because research shows that, and I have read research done, and shows that females really prefer pink. So do I, to be honest, in terms of shirts. But there is more preference for pink. So perhaps if we make flyers in pink for girls and we make more project-based learning with pink materials, girls will be more attracted to it. And I know this may sound like too playful for a real policy measure, but I think pink baseball hats might be more attractive for girls who play baseball, and therefore pink science books might be more exciting for girls to open and stay into them. So I just wanted to mention some. As I said, we could have long discussions about this, and I hope we will have long discussions on this, because I would like to see more equality and equal chances in studying sciences for girls.
Yeah, thank you, Radu. I think that what I've heard there is not only that we have great brains, but we have exquisite fashion taste as well. So good for you that you like pink. What I wanted to say is that absolutely I agree with you when it's coming to, you know, having more things that speak to us, women and girls. But also we need to think of what we've heard earlier in the discussion, that once we finish our studies, you know, the whole venture is just starting, right? Because by the time we will not be able to advance for real women in tech careers if we don't, you know, think of early education for the kids. You know, support systems for who's going to take care of the elderly in the family, who's going to take care of the kids when they get sick, and so on and so on. So, of course, I think that this is a very broad and very complicated issue, but, you know, if others did it, I'm sure that we can make it as well here in Romania. And I would like to just tell you something that stuck with me. First of all, I would like to thank you very much for all your discussions and for making this a safe environment and safe space for all of us to be ourselves and you know, talk about the things that matter to us, and most importantly, share our projects and hopes for the future. You know, I remember something that stuck with me that the Prime Minister of Finland said to a certain point. She said that, you know, for her becoming the Prime Minister was quite natural, because since she was very, very little, she always asked herself, why not me? So why not me? Why not you? Why not all of us? I think we are definitely in, at the great point of making a difference, and we are already making a difference for us, but we have to make the difference for our sisters as well, whether they are women or girls. We are in this together, and we are counting on our male partners and partners, bosses, colleagues, and just realizing that this is going to be a much better place if we work together and we achieve that, because more women in the same place doesn't mean more competition. It only means a more diverse,
Yeah, if I add something, Wana, here, because talking about women and staying and talking about keeping a career, there is definitely a point where, and I think that then we heard, becoming a mother, it's seen as a movement and lack of interest. And this is where probably now speaking overall about gender equality, this is one of the changes, that we are not all the same. Yeah. And the fact that we are a mother doesn't mean that we start to not work anymore. Moreover, I was reading about biases about women not wanting to have children being put to the world, that, wow, they don't want to have children. So it was the other way around. So I think that a bit also to Radu's point, I'm quite passionate about it because I'm a telecom engineer, and I was always a telecom engineer. And I moved out of telecom and I came back because I love it. So there is room for women. I think that what is important is to the point of role models, and as well of mentorship and circles of support. Yeah, because that's it. We are women, we have a different way to maybe to act and to react, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. And if there is something I'm very passionate about, it's exactly this, how we make sure and how we ourselves are role model for others. Yeah, and I think that if it is something we all jointly can do, it's we being a role model for others. And if at least one of other women feel inspired by us, we are doing very good in this world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I think that we all agree that this is not the end, this is the beginning. We need to do this again. Hopefully we will already connect now. Please don't forget to take a few seconds and follow the chamber on LinkedIn. You can also sign up to the newsletter on the website, I would like to, give it a huge applause to the person that made all of this happening. His sweat and tears are in this panel and in this discussion, in this webinar. And I would personally like to thank him a lot. To Lestat Moreau, who is the founder and member of the board of directors of the Romanian Diversity Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for having us here today, and thank you for making this happen. Lestat?
Thank you very much, Oana. If I had to summarize today's webinar, I think I have two ideas in my mind. First will be the title of a report prepared by Accenture that was called "When She Rises, We All Rise." And also the second idea will be the awareness around promoting role models that Radu mentioned and also Irina mentioned. And I think those are the two key takeaways of today's session. As you said, stay tuned with us, follow us on social media, also on the website rdcc.ro. We are going to announce soon the creation of a national gender equality task force. So everyone should be on that. And before I let you go, because we're already 18 minutes past the winding time, I wanted to thank the co-organizers, the Swedish Embassy, EBRD, and Ikea, and all our equally inspirational speakers that were participating to the webinar today. Wishing you a diverse and inclusive week, and see you soon for the next webinar on another pillar of diversity and inclusion.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.